Today we're making some no-knead ciabatta bread. You get a lot of bread for very little flour, and they also taste amazing. This really has been my go-to bread recipe for the past few weeks of lockdown. It's only 4 ingredients and super low effort. Let's get to it. We'll start off by activating the instant yeast. In the mixing bowl, warm up some cold water in the microwave for about 10 seconds. Mix in the yeast and let it sit for 5 minutes or so. Next, add in some olive oil. Vegetable oil is fine too if that's all you have, and then mix in your flour and salt. Gently combine it all together just like this. Cover the mixing bowl with some cling film and set aside for 45 minutes. It's pretty warm in London right now, so leaving it on the counter is good enough. But if it's cold where you're from, then leave the bowl in the oven with the oven light on just to provide a little bit of warmth. This will help the yeast come alive and get to work. After 45 minutes or so, the dough should start looking a little bit bigger. At this point, we want to fold in the dough back over itself in all 4 directions. This is a pretty sticky dough, so make sure you have a bowl of water nearby. The secret is to dip your hands in the water before working with the dough. If your hands are wet, then it won't stick. Simple. Do this slowly and try and stretch out the dough before finishing each fold. Since we aren't really kneading the bread, it's important that we develop those gluten strands by stretching it. This will make sure we get those signature ciabatta air pockets. Alright, after folding in all 4 directions, cover it up again and let it rise for 30 minutes. We've got to do this 2 more times, so after 30 minutes, fold the dough again in all 4 directions just like before, then go and watch TV or do something for another 30 minutes. And for the final time, fold it again and rest it for another 30 minutes. The great thing about this recipe is that it's so low effort, and because it's 80% hydration, we use very little flour, but we get 2 whole loaves of bread out of it. Alright, once the 30 minutes is up, dust the counter with a little bit more flour, and then tip the mixing bowl upside down just like this. The dough will unstick itself and should be ready to cut in 2. Before we cut into it though, dust the top of the dough with some more plain flour and make sure you cover all of it. This will make our lives so much easier later on. Now, if you're a bit of a perfectionist like me, you can gently shape the dough with a spatula to make sure it's symmetrical. Feel free to skip this step though, because you know, bread doesn't have to look good to taste good. Once you're happy with it, cut it into 2. We're nearly there, but we've just got to give it one last chance to rise for 30 minutes. This time, we'll let it rest on the tea towel so that it can breathe. So, dust the tea towel with a little bit of flour and transfer each dough onto it. If you've dusted the dough properly before, then it shouldn't stick to your hand and you should be able to pick this up. Once the 30 minutes is up, it's ready to bake. You can transfer them onto a baking tray and bake them at 220 degrees Celsius for 18 minutes. This works and the ciabatta will come up absolutely beautiful. But if you do want to go that extra mile to have a little bit more of a crust, you can do this using the Dutch oven method. There's a whole load of science behind how this traps steam and it's better for the crust, but I won't go into it in this video. Basically, to do this, throw a cast iron pot in the oven when it's preheating and transfer the dough onto a piece of non-stick parchment. When it's baking time, take the pot out of the oven and transfer the dough into it. You can do this safely by airlifting the dough into it using the side of the parchment paper. Please be careful because the pan will be ripping hot. Throw the lid on and bake for about 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, remove the lid and let it bake for another 8 minutes. Ta-da! I'll let you guys guess which loaf is baked using the cast iron. Comment down below if you think you've got it. Anyway, the ciabatta should be ready to eat once it has cooled. The inside should have those signature air pockets just like this. It will taste amazing and moist because of the olive oil. All of this with no kneading, very little flour and effort, and now you don't even need to leave the house for bread. Amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. As usual, the ingredients are down below. Hope everyone is staying safe, and I'll see you in the next one.